Warning, listening to Unleash Your Genius can be good for your health.
Symptoms may include looking and feeling better.
More energy, healthier kids, and increased productivity.
Unleash Your Genius podcast brings you the science, art, and philosophy of health, wellness,
epigenetics, and lifestyle. Stronger, fitter, faster.
Naturally, holistically, simply.
Hey, welcome to the show, Genius listeners. Today's guest is Tammi Gordon. She's been dedicating the last few years of her life to diet, nutrition, and lifestyle. She's one of the very early adopters and completed Mark Sisson's Primal Blueprint expert status, making her an expert in ancestral health, living, and lifestyle modifications. Tammi currently works very hard, dedicating her time to her blog site, the Cavewoman Diva, where she dives deep into the science and the art of healthy living and lifestyle. So please help me welcome Tammi Gordon. Hey, Tammi, how are you?
I am doing well, Brian, and you?
I'm fantastic, thank you. Look, I know I just introduced you, but can you tell us a little bit more about you?
Sure. Well, let's see. I retired this year from a job in corporate America. I actually have a degree in biochemistry, and I ended up a research scientist in a diagnostics industry, and I stayed there for 26 years. And so I learned a lot about the medical side in regards to diseases, and I've also learned a lot about engineering as well. And then I became a program director, basically taking all these disparate things. When you work in a diagnostic industry, you've got engineering, you've got software, you've got all the tests that need to come together to automate. So I worked as a program manager and a program director for that for a while. And I learned a lot. Technology was something that I really enjoyed doing, but I also liked healthcare. And I was learning more and more about my health because I had been diagnosed pre-diabetic. And when you're in your 50s, you're feeling great. All of a sudden, you get scared. Diabetes is not anything to be trifled with. So I started to learn more and more about health, how nutrition impacts it, how exercise, how just mental well-being impacts health. So a lot of those things are things that I just started teaching myself over the course of the years. And then when I retired, it was just like, it's time for phase 2 of my life. I want to do something more, and I also want to give back. So that was one of the reasons that I really started to go after looking at coaching and writing and blogging online. So that's really what I learned a lot about myself over the course of those years, and that's what I'm continuing to go forward with. As for fun or things that I'd like to do, well, I'd like to say I like to exercise. There are days I do. There are days you just do it and you enjoy it afterwards. But because I enjoy cooking, exercise is important. I like to learn history, languages. I love history. Things on spirituality. We rescue dogs. And so we do a lot of animal rescue. And I also like to listen to music, and I just like to get out and enjoy my life.
Beautiful. So have you always been interested in nutrition and health? Have you always been like a fitness fanatic, or,
Yeah, no. When I was growing up in high school, I tipped the scale at 220 pounds. No one would consider me a fitness fanatic at that time. Yeah. But it was just, actually, when I went to graduate school, I had no money, and I didn't eat much for the until I got my first TA paycheck. And I lost weight very quickly. I really didn't get into nutrition until, I would say, dabbling my feet into it about 5 years ago. And really, it took off 3 years ago. And the fitness part was somewhat along that same line. So I would have to say no. You would never consider me a fitness person, especially when I was younger.
Okay. So tell us about your certified Primal Blueprint.
Okay. Well, I don't know if you're familiar with Mark Sisson all that much, but he had put together a program basically looking at how people lived primally, so how we ate, looking at ancestral type eating. And so one of the things I did was go through that training so that I could better understand and help others and coach others in regards to, okay, how should you eat? How should you exercise? Because I think sometimes we have a tendency to do way too much chronic exercise that actually puts our body into a stress state. But just being able to move, we have a tendency to be on our backsides most of the day. That's not what we were made for. So it's going through that. It's going through getting your sunlight, getting playing, all these different types of things that we want to do and teach people to kind of go back to where we were before as it relates to health. I think it's a very sound program, and it's something that I feel that it's really important when you look at all the ancestral types of eating, whether it be ketogenic, whether it be I'm trying to think who else. Lauren Cordain. It fits beautifully into those styles, and I really enjoyed it. And so I continue working on that and learning more about that, and trying to help other people understand if that's a right lifestyle for them. Because again, one size does not necessarily fit all.
That's awesome. Hey, I'm a fellow Primal Blueprinter as well. I just finished up in December. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I'm number 62.
Wow.
So I started a little earlier.
That's awesome. Hey, Tammi, do you have a favorite sports team or anything that you follow?
Yes, I love American football. So I grew up in Minnesota, so I should ideally be a Vikings fan, but because I married my husband and he's a Green Bay Packer fan, to keep peace in the family, I am a ardent Green Bay Packer supporter. So I like their small town attitude, but I do like sports. I like baseball, but football I just absolutely adore.
Nice. So Tammi, I'm going to put you on the spotlight here. Mm-hmm. Imagine that you were just promoted to lead the Green Bay Packers into a 90-day lifestyle challenge, like eating right, exercising, meditating, the whole thing. What are 3 things that you would want to teach the Green Bay Packers that would give them the best chance of success, and why?
Well, I'm going to actually go to a different coach then. I'm going to look at Phil Jackson, who I think was one of the better coaches to ever coach in basketball. I think one of the things that he does in regards to meditation is being more zen and not taking everything personally. I think oftentimes, especially in the sports venue, testosterone can take over. So I think one of the things that it would be to do to be present, and I know that's really hard to do, but I think that's something that helps not only in sports, but in every aspect of your life. Knowing what I'm doing at that point rather than reacting. But if I had to go 3 things, one of the things I would say is if you want to make changes, mental, physical, you got to plan for them. They just don't happen automatically. So one of the things that I do is I plan my day in the morning so that I know what I'm doing. And so getting that done, and if it's a priority, get it on the calendar because it will not happen immediately. I think the other thing is taking time every day to give thanks. And I think this goes, once again, is we have a tendency to but take time every day to give thanks, because that way you really ground yourself on what's important. And then the third is to treat your body well. I think oftentimes our health comes 80% from nutrition, 10% from the exercise, and 10% from genetics. So if these guys are playing for the Green Bay Packers, they probably have the genetics part down, but getting to make sure that they eat right and exercise right, those are the 2 important things.
Fantastic.
Or the 3 important things.
Right. So be present, prepare, and be thankful.
Yes, exactly. And I know those aren't necessarily nutrition things, but I think or exercise things, but I do think they fit in beautifully with just a more, what's the word I want to use? A present lifestyle and a fuller lifestyle.
Beautiful. Hey, Tammi, Unleash Your Genius is about breaking the chains that's been placed on our health due to our modern lifestyle. And as you and I know, that change can be difficult. Can you describe a time when you struggled changing any part of your lifestyle?
Yes. Like I said, first off, when I was younger and being very heavy, that was difficult. But I was able to get through it. Part of it was self-imposed because I didn't have the money to eat. But also just getting the discipline at that point. But there's another thing right now that I think I'm actually going through. And that has to do with, we have a dog with advanced stage cancer. And he has to get up oftentimes in the middle of the night. And he wakes me up. So I get maybe 4 or 5 hours of sleep per night. And so that's what I'm kind of working on as it relates to, okay, given that we've got this issue, how do I get that sleep? Because I never realized how important sleep was until this started happening. And it's been going on for about 4 weeks. I mean, I get cranky. I eat more carbs. I exercise, but the intensity is not there. And I find it hard to concentrate. So what I'm trying to do right now is figure out, okay, given the issue that we have, how do I get back some of that sleep? So it's basically taking power naps, which I've never napped over the course of the day. It's just not been something that I've done, and I still find it hard. But that is one of the things that I am working on, and trying to get back into a more ketogenic eating style rather than going after the carbs, because I think your body just craves those when you're lacking sleep. And then trying to get back into working out and some more training, but doing it mindfully so that I'm not working out right before I'm supposed to take a nap, so on and so forth. So those are the things that you have to work with, because quite frankly, life's going to throw you a curveball. And you just need to figure out how you're going to deal with it and do it with grace and dignity.
Well, my condolences for you and your family.
Well, he's a good boy, but it's just one of those things that you just, everybody deals with that, and they're part of the family.
Are you in a ketogenic style diet, or how would you describe your eating habits now? Or your
Right now, I'm a little bit more ketogenic, obviously, because I want to get myself back on track. Then I think I can start, for lack of a better term, titrating the carbs back up. But what I tend to do right now is more intermittent fasting. So I will start eating around noon, and then my last meal will generally be around 7 o'clock at night. So that's what I'm doing right now. I can't keep that up forever. My body doesn't deal with that well. But at least for a short period of time, just to get me back on track, that is what I'm doing. Generally, I'm probably about 50 to 100 grams of carbs per day. And I use a app that I can just basically put in my food intake and get that information so I know that I'm on track. I've put in my numbers from the past few weeks, and it's been not 300 grams per day, but it's inching up there, and that makes me feel uncomfortable. And I, quite frankly, don't feel good after that. Well, my body works best around 50 to 100 grams of carbs per day. But I will monitor my glucose through a glucometer, and every once in a while we'll take a keto measurement as well.
Yeah, how do you measure your ketones there?
I've got a ketone or ketometer. They're expensive, but I find that they're a little bit more accurate than the urinalysis sticks, and I know there's also keto sticks. I just haven't used those. Okay.
Yeah, I was looking for some online, and there was kind of confusing as to which ones. There were some that were a lot cheaper than others. And
well, the one that I can't remember the brand that I use, but I get it out of the American Diabetes Association. They've got a website where I get my glucose sticks and the keto sticks. So And one thing I'd like to do is at some point just see if I can do an analysis between the ketometer and the keto sticks. But again, that will vary depending on your hydration levels and so on. So I basically look at keto sticks as a quick measurement, but if you really are a science geek like me, you want to do some analysis on it. And so that's why I stay with the ketometer.
Right. So I see where your biochemistry history is starting to come back into...
Yeah. I love experiments, especially on myself.
So, Tammi, tell me about your exercise routine. What's your favorite form of exercise?
Really, my favorite form of exercise is walking.
Right.
And I'll walk in the morning when it is cooler here. But I really enjoy walking it because it's something that anyone can do. And, you go to Europe, you go to different places, it's a walking culture. We don't have that here in the United States. But like I said, it's something that everyone can do. And so that's what I love to do. But I also love to run. Every once in a while, just the freedom of just putting on the shoes and running is great. Then I also like weightlifting because muscle is beautiful. And I think as you age, it is even more imperative that you work on keeping the muscle that you have. Too many people, as they get older, don't have that muscle capability. So those are some of the things that I really like to do. And I try to incorporate all of those. I'll mix it up. I get bored doing one routine, but I'll mix it up and I'll do different things on different days.
Nice. So do you have, Tammi, I know your schedule's a bit crazy now with the health of your dog, but do you have like a morning routine or a ritual that you do?
My morning routine is basically I get up and I plan my day first. So I try to look at, okay, what do I want to accomplish today? And if it's a priority, I schedule it. But the other thing that I do, even before I do that, is I'll once the alarm goes off, I will take 5 minutes just with my eyes closed and really give thanks to all the different things that I have. We sometimes don't do that, and we're so blessed in Western culture. We really are. And just 5 minutes of saying, I'm grateful for my husband. I'm grateful for the dogs that we have. I'm grateful for our house. I'm grateful for family, all that kind of stuff. And it puts your heart and it puts your mind in a better frame of reference to begin the day.
Hey, Tammi, if you have the time, can I ask you a few more questions?
Sure.
So do you have a favorite book?
Yes. Actually, I was looking at it the other day. It's called The Robe, and it's an old book, but it is a book that talks about transformation. And I'm not a big fictional person, but it talks about it in a fictional sense, and I've read it numerous times. And it was actually made into a movie in the 1950s, but it is a great book, and it's one that I'll go back to from time to time. But although I don't like fiction, there are so many other books that I like to read. I'm reading Lisa Nichols' book right now, Abundance Now. Let's see, there are so many books by Wayne Dyer. I'm just looking around this place. Deepak Chopra, I love. My favorite book basically depends on the time of the when I'm reading it, because it's just like, every book that I read, I just learn a certain kernel of truth from, and so it's harder for me to really say my favorite book other than the Robe that I mentioned.
Let's see. Can you give us the best piece of advice that you've ever received?
Actually, this came from my dad. Be real and add value to society. That's what we're here for. And we all have something that we're meant to do, and so that's the best advice that I have.
Do you have a favorite quote or motto?
For me, the quote is "Go big or go home." Live life to its abundance. And yeah, we can't do that 100% of the time, but if you're present and you can give, that's what I consider my favorite quote.
Can you tell us more about the Cavewoman Diva?
The Cavewoman Diva started out as a blog site. I was hoping to actually start writing books, and I am working on it, but that just takes some time. But it's basically where I put out blog posts on things that are important and timely. So, for example, I'll oftentimes get things from The Lancet or different medical journals where, it's pretty scientifically intense. So I try to distill that down into what people can actually understand without going through, all the statistical stuff that they've got in there. But go through that. I also like to provide information on exercise and recipes. Again, I love to cook, and I like to be able to provide information on recipes and cooking for people, because I think that's what a lot of people want. How do they integrate all these different things into their lifestyle, and why is it important? So that's what the Cavewoman Diva is. And like I said, I'm going to start, I want to write a book on women's health as they get older. I've got the outline done and I've sketched it out, but it's going to take some time for me to get there.
So cavewomandiva.com?
Yes. thecavewomandiva.com.
Hey, Tammi, do you have any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
I think one of the things is that I feel that it is my mission to reach out to people, predominantly women, though, because they oftentimes are the people who really run the roost in regards to health, to lead their family and themselves into a more present lifestyle, nutrition, mental, helping with stress, physical fitness, and personal development. I think those are all things that we strive for, but it's hard to find the time for it. And so I'm going to continue the process of that, but I think those are the things that I want people to understand, is that you really need to get out there and make a difference, not only in your life, but the lives of those people around you.
Hey, Tammi, what would be the best way to get a hold of you?
You can either get through me on my blog site, which we talked about, www.thecavewomandiva.com, or I've got a Facebook page that I'm posting pretty much every day. So it would be, I would love to hear from people on their thoughts and what they need, and see if there's a way that we can help them get to where they want and reach their goals.
Tammi, it's been fantastic having you on the show today. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Brian. It's been a pleasure.
Thanks so much for listening to Unleash Your Genius with your host, Dr. Brian Peterson. For more great content and to stay up to date, visit unleashyourgenius.com. We'll catch you next time.
I hope you liked this episode, and if you did, I would really appreciate it if you would subscribe, and most importantly, give us a review and give us a 5-star rating too, please. All right, see ya.